Should you go into Big Law? Well, maybe. So what is Big Law? It's essentially the top firms that have lawyers service corporate clients and pay the same amount of money to their employees across the same practice years. This means that all first years make the same amount, which is right around 225 USD and 20K bonus as well. And it goes up every year. It's a lot of money. This is what's known as the Cravath scale, which is named after a swanky law firm that started to do this, but people don't really respect them anymore. So some people say Milbank scale. There's a lot of other ways to define Big Law. I only care about money, so I define Big Law as anybody paying the salary scale. But others look into factors like recruiting from the top law firms, having the similar billable hour target, having these formal apprenticeship models, distinguishing between juniors, which is like the first 3 years, mid-levels, 3 to 6 years, and then seniors, which is above that. And there's also this sort of up or out system of either you make partner by year 7 to 10, or you get fired, which is becoming less common because there's counsel positions where associates stay profitable without bringing in business. All this sounds great, right? Lots of money, prestige, training. So why is the attrition so high? Why do over half of the people leave by years 3 to 5? Because all you do is work, and the work is stressful and often really boring. You're on call all the time, and you never know when you have, your 8 p.m. dinner plans canceled because the partner wants to please some client. It's hard to explain the anxiety that comes with the job to somebody who hasn't gone through it, especially as a junior. You really have no idea when work will pop off, and it's not great for people who are naturally pretty anxious. You could have nothing to do all day in terms of work, plan to meet up with your friends at 7 p.m. Seems like a safe bet that there's not going to be any more work. And then you're on an Uber back home at 8 p.m. because you got flooded with work, and you'll be up until 4 a.m. The cortisol is just flooding in your veins. It can be especially bad if your team is a bunch of workaholics that don't really respect your personal life. Also, your work has to be perfect. Reading some rules and filling out some forms perfectly doesn't sound so bad until you're sleep deprived and on your third 70-hour week of multiple deals. Then you misplace a comma and your senior lawyer thinks you just spat in the queen's face. Your personal life, your hobbies, your friends, fun slowly gets replaced by just work. You're working all the time. You're eating at your desk. Your body suffers from the stress, the lack of physical activity or sleep. You age like 5 years. You pray you don't get work on the weekend, and the only time you really get to live your life is on vacation. Why would anyone do this to themselves? Well, one reason comes bi-weekly and directly into my bank account. Another reason is that as time goes on, it does get slightly better. Slightly. You learn to work up some boundaries, and you start working with only the sane partners, and you understand the timelines and how deals work, and you get a bit more control of your life back. But not a whole lot, because the job becomes increasingly harder the higher up you go. For instance, from junior to mid-level, you'll be managing, down to the junior. As a mid-level, you'll be managing up and down and essentially running these small deals. A 10 to 12-hour day is pretty usual. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely much harder jobs out there that are much lower paid, but Big Law jobs, you need to be realistic. They're not like tech jobs that pay, mid 6 figures because of some tangible coding skill. You're not paid for your legal skill. You're paid for your time and availability and your ability to keep grinding it out. Big Law lawyers' value, as an associate at least, again, isn't your legal skill or your brilliant judgment. It's your ability to concentrate on a task for long, long hours without making a mistake. You're essentially a white-collared factory worker pushing paper around for some real knowledge worker, that is the senior partner. Their knowledge actually counts, and they actually have some sort of balance in their lives. But you got to grind out like 20 years of your life for that. The usual trajectory of Big Law is that you'll burn out multiple points until you hit a point of no return. But at that point, you see that you have other options. You want to take the pay cut and you want to work normal hours and not be bothered outside of business hours. This is why the attrition is so high in Big Law. But this isn't a bug. It's a feature of Big Law. There aren't enough spaces for everybody to make partner from that huge first year class. And it's generally a good thing for associates to go in-house because they can eventually become clients of the firm. Now, if you can grind it out and forget your life for, say, the next 7 to 8 years, you can be up for partner. Does life get better when you make partner? Not if you're a junior partner. So you kind of need to make partner and then grind it out for another 10, 15 years until you're a senior partner, or maybe earlier if you're a rainmaker. Honestly, junior partners are working just as much. They might get paid a bit more, but you're still ignoring your kids to get that paper. Unless you love the work, unless you really love the money, most people won't be happy with this kind of life. But if you have the opportunity to get into Big Law, take it. It changed my life, my socioeconomic status. It also aged me and did irreparable damage to my body and psyche, but sacrifices. You got to know what you're getting into. All my student loans are paid, and I now have a good chunk of savings. And I also got good training that other employers find attractive, valuable. So grind it out for a couple of years, pay your debt, get your experience, and then go to a normal in-house job and live your life.